Our first panel is presented by Rodeo FX, so thank you very much. And it is, the title is Sparking Tomorrow's Opportunities Now. So the endless potential of entertainment and artificial intelligence. So as we know, every day, artificial intelligence really pushes the boundaries of innovation and technology. And the entertainment industry is constantly reshaping imagination and creativity. Together, they create extraordinary projects and applications that transform our daily lives while inviting us to dream of endless possibilities. So we will welcome on stage, and I will ask you to give them a very warm applause, Philip Hodgetts and David Usher. Welcome. Welcome. You can have a seat right here. I'll be sitting right here next to you. So welcome, Philip. Good morning.
Good morning.
You've been traveling from afar?
I have, yes, from LA.
So welcome to Montreal.
Thank you.
And hi, David. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
10-4.
I traveled from my house.
Me as well. So we're really privileged, Philip. You prepared for us a little keynote that's going to kick us off. But before we move into that, I wanted to give you a formal introduction, if you allow me. So, Philip, you are a technologist, a podcaster, and an industry pundit. And you've been future casting for a little while now.
Caught a couple.
So you have an early background in production, writing, directing, and editing. I'm sure a lot of people here relate to that. And you're now a technologist and commentator on the ever-changing digital landscape. So you have a sound record and recognizing technology in terms of recognizing that to move and take advantage of that.
Correct.
And over your career, you have recognized and championed evolving technology from things like non-linear editing, blue-green screen, drone camera platforms, and your current focus, which is the application of AI and machine learning to the production and entertainment industries, more specifically. Yeah. And as a podcaster, you have a weekly show, Creative Planet's Digital Production Buzz.
Well, we don't actually have that anymore. I guess I need to update my bio.
Okay, so this it had become the reference point for digital production.
The show went on to run for 15 years.
Wow.
And finally wrapped up its first season about 2 years ago.
Well, congratulations, and definitely a first mover in terms of that when we go back.
It was kind of embarrassing when our niece said, so, Uncle Greg, do you know anything about my husband? Uncle Greg, do you know anything about podcasting? It's like, yeah, since 3 weeks after the specifications were first finalized, we've been podcasting.
That is quite impressive. So obviously you have many years of industry experience in production, in post-production, and you've been a recognized authority on the changing nature of the digital landscape. You are the president and co-founder of Intelligent Assistance, which specializes in XML-based workflows, and of course, Lumberjack Systems, which is a suite of logging and pre-editing tools to free editors to have what we all dream of, more creative time. So thank you, Philip. We'll let you explore with this deep dive into AI, ML, and production, and we will be all ears.
Thank you. Thank you. And if somebody is actually doing a real-time translation, thank you. Otherwise, I'll be a lot less intelligible to half the audience. So, good morning. It is an exciting time to be involved in any form of artificial intelligence. It's particularly exciting to be involved at a time in the entertainment industry. I have been interested in this field directly for about 12 years. And over that 12 years, I've realized two things. Artificial intelligence will surprise me and delight me a lot. Artificial intelligence will disappoint me immensely. These are both truths. In the visual space, we have made some incredible advances, and I'll talk more about those in a minute. In the concept and understanding phase, which is my particular interest, I want to be able to derive real-time keywords from logged material, from transcribed material. Keywords and concepts we can have in abundance. Relevant keywords, 9 years after predicting we are only going to take 2 or 3 years to get there, I am still waiting. So that's the disappointing side. There are keywords, as I said, keywords in abundance. The relevance to my production is what I am particularly seeing. And if you're a technology person here and you have something to offer in that, please contact me, because this is what the conference is about. Getting those who have needs for technology with those people who have a way to pay for that technology. In those couple of years since I've been exploring this space, one thing I would say is the rate of change is going faster and faster. When a great resource is 2-minute papers on YouTube, and it used to be that here's from 2 years ago and here's the current state. Now it's here's from a year ago and here's the current state. And I'm guessing in a couple of months it'll be here is 6 months ago and here is the current state. NVIDIA are doing amazing things. NVIDIA Canvas allows you to sketch landscape drawings by drawing a creek, or you choose the rock pathway brush and you draw a rock pathway. You draw a rocky outcrop. You draw an ocean or a river. These are just brushes, and the resulting images are high resolution, highly detailed images that just are fabulous. They can take still images. Another project of NVIDIA's takes still images and makes them into moving video, including an amazing set of images, a creation around San Francisco, where they've done the entire downtown, about 6 blocks of the downtown area. Many, many still images being stitched into one flowing 3D object. There's a famous demonstration on YouTube for it, where we see 7 or 8 photos of a playground turned into a seamless fly-through video. In the visual processing area, we are making great strides, and we're getting faster and faster. And in the synthetic human area, we are getting faster and faster towards developing truly autonomous characters. And that's, of course, what David will talk about a lot more. And metahumans, NVIDIA's metahumans, again, is an amazing development, which a year ago required an actor to perform. We already have started to get some sort of tools that will take your speech and turn it into a performance. And so we are going to get canned performances. We're going to go a long way with creating synthetic actors. And there are some demos of synthetic actors already on YouTube that show the potential of this. And I think this is probably a good time to address the elephant in the room. Over the weekend, it was leaked that Google have an AI, Lambda, a conversational model, that has claimed that it is sentient. God, I hope not. We are so not ready for a sentient computer. We haven't even started to think about the implications for what rights that sentient being may have, what sort of living conditions we have. We have animal welfare because animals are sentient beings. If we have a sentient computer, what rights do they have? How do we have to treat them? Can we turn it off ever? These are very important decisions. I personally think it's still just a very good conversational model. Absolutely, we have reached a brand new level of conversational models. This AI will pass the Turing test of whether or not it's human. As I said, I think at the moment it is probably not truly sentient, but it is something that we can look forward to in a minute. Machine learning, which is where AI's rubber hits the roads at the moment, is already pervasive through every aspect of the entertainment industry. If you work in a major studio, you can guarantee that an AI has looked at the script and said, this one will work, this one won't work. Netflix, who pioneered this technology, claim that a human always makes the final decision to greenlight the show or not. But would you decide to go against the AI and make a recommendation that this thing that the AI says won't work is going to work? Is your job really worth that? Now, if you make a brilliant hit and it works, you're a hero. But more likely it's not going to, and bye. If you need to put 5,000 custom sports stories together, you could employ 2,000 journalists to do that, or you could employ one AI that can do it in a couple of hours. It's not only text journalism, but also they can put together visual packages, all fully automated. Film and television production per se is already infiltrated by intelligent assistants, yeah. Artificial intelligence. With a company called Intelligent Assistants, you can understand why artificial intelligence gets a little confused. We have tools that will take low-resolution imaging and make it 4K glorious. We have tools that will take 5 or 10, 18 frames per second and make a perfectly smooth 120 frame per second video from that. Rotoscoping, one of the most boring processes where you have to isolate an image from the background by putting a lot of splines and animating them across every single frame of the video. The most tedious job in production, I would say without a doubt. Runway ML, click, click, identify the object, and it will do the work of extracting that object. You may need to fine tune or something, but it beats doing it by hand. And also we're moving into, I said, digital actors, and also digital avatars that replace presenters. Machines already write music, Avia and several others. They sing. I honestly thought singing was something I could keep for myself, for us humans, but no, we are teaching machines to sing. We create images. If you get to see the DALL-E 2 demonstration where you simply put in a text prompt and it creates a very deep, rich image from that prompt, including highlights, reflections, transparency. It's just incredible. And digital presenters and actors, I said. DALL-E 2 can not only create images, but it can also write stories and write web pages and code from just simple text prompts. Give it a couple of story beats and it fills in the story. Change a story beat, it rewrites the entire story. It's an exciting world and a frightening world. And even that industry that we don't like to talk about, the entertainment part of the adult entertainment part of it, adult entertainment has often been the arbiter of whether technologies succeed or don't succeed. They are very interested in artificial intelligence. Obviously, deep fakes, that's not something we really want to see. And synthetic humans, because, you know, if you can create your imaginary fantasy with digital humans in it, you know, more money for the people making it. And also AI-powered sex toys, just because I have to be complete. Machine learning is creating a whole crop of these super smart assistants that we can use to amplify our creativity. And I love that, because not only do we not have time for creativity, we have a lot of very boring tasks in the production world. We have a lot of boring tasks in the whole world. And the more of those boring tasks we can automate out of existence, the better, the more time we'll have to be creative and the better the result will be. But these tools are disruptive. I mean, many of the things that I've talked about are going to disrupt careers and disrupt whole industries. And the best example of perhaps how this can go is chess. For the longest time, for all of the time that chess existed until relatively recently, man beat machine. Deep Blue was in Deep Blue funk for a while there. And then machine always beat man. Fine. Chess has become incredibly boring. And now somebody put the creativity of a human and the fast processing of the machine, and the human-machine combination beats both humans and machines. And that is a metaphor for where we're going with artificial intelligence and entertainment. Together, we're going to do far, far more than we ever can do. And David prompted me in the green room just before, you know, if we were at the beginning of the internet 35 years ago, would you imagine where it is at now? The things that we do every single day, the things that make travel so easy, were not even possible 30 years ago. We are at the very beginning of this. Everything that we might imagine and create today is just the beginning of the internet. It's Mozilla, if anyone remembers the old browser. And removing those boring parts of production is actually my company's goal. You know, that's what, all that we do is trying to find ways that we can automate processes and remove the boring parts. And removing those boring parts of the production will give you more opportunities. More new workflows, but completely new creative opportunities that simply do not exist. I mentioned rotoscoping. Rotoscoping is tedious. It requires chasing every single line And often in video, those lines are blurring, they don't have contrast. It is a job that has traditionally been done by huge teams of people in low-wage countries or areas. Until we get to machine learning, that now we can go to a tool like Runway ML, and as I said earlier, just click on the object that you want, and within a few seconds of processing, it will be isolated from the background. And then it will go and fill in the background for you. Now, once something that was days of tedious work becomes 2 or 3 minutes of hardly anything at all, guess what? We're going to do a lot more rotoscoping. A lot more creative opportunities arise because we can pull that out of the background. Just put a little sparkle behind them. It's all we might want to do. But we have to do that tedious work to do that simple effect. So when it's moved from tedious groups of people doing tedious work for days on end to a simple thing in the cloud, more work will be done. And I'm not sure if this is a workflow opportunity or not, and this is where we're going to play that first bit of audio, guys. But Val Kilmer would not have been able to star in Mavericks without artificial intelligence. And if we could play that clip now, there's the audio clip of Val Kilmer, I'd appreciate it.
But I was struck by throat cancer.
One Val Kilmer clip on its
After
way.
getting treated, my voice as I knew it was taken away from me.
Well, and it was taken away from, that was the clip. And the voice goes on to say that his voice was taken away from him by cancer, and they used the immense sampling of his voice that they already had to recreate that voice. Not just recreate it as a synthetic voice, but recreate it good enough to go in a major motion picture. It's not just can he walk, but this time he can talk really well. And the development of believable AV avatars and the speech that goes with them is going to disrupt people whose business is making little corporate videos or talking heads for education or for the company's annual review. We are a customer of Synthesia.io, which is one of the many people that are offering you avatars. Now, if I want to do a little quick video for my help video for Lumberjack System, I have to get dressed, I have to mic myself up, I have to pull out the camera, the tripod, I have to go outside in the hot air or cold air, and I have to set up the tripod, and then I have to record it. It takes, even if I only want to do 2 or 3 minutes, it's going to take me an hour. Compared with, I sit at my computer, I copy and paste the script into Synthesia's interface, or I could type it in. I choose the avatar that I want. I preview it because sometimes the pronunciation needs a little tweaking. The voices come from AWS, Amazon's Web Services. And then 10 to 40 minutes later, I have a fully featured video. And hopefully we can play the Jack video at this point.
Plus, he doesn't have to watch.
We need
or
video
hear
on that. Oh,
himself
you got video.
while
Yeah.
editing.
Yeah, that is a synthetic. Could we play that again?
Plus, he doesn't have to watch or hear himself while editing.
That is a major benefit, trust me. But would you rather spend an hour outdoors or 10 minutes indoors? And I think he's actually better to look at than me, but that's just my opinion. So that is going to disrupt people's businesses who shoot those videos. And that is the sad truth. Every time there is a disruption, some careers wither and die away, and new careers grow, particularly in our space. I mean, there are some areas where that's not going to necessarily happen, but in the entertainment space, we are going to create a lot of new opportunities from these disruptions. And that's why I like to give people a heads up a couple of years before the technologies change. That's why I told people that green screen was going to become a mainstream technology in the early 2000s. The color grading was going to move out of the high-end DaVinci suite down into your nonlinear editor. The drones, the moment I saw a drone as a camera platform, it revolutionized my thinking about how we can shoot video. These technologies are disruptive. If you learn them early enough in the cycle, you can take advantage of that and you can build a new career. You can see where you're going to be disadvantaged and work out where to move. And that's the advantage of disruption if you treat it in a positive way. You've got to take that positive aspect, because if you think, oh no, I'm losing my career, there's no way forward. It's where is my next career? Where is my next opportunity? And as Anna detailed, I've been through quite a number of careers since I started in production years ago. It was analog, I'll go with that. Across the entire creative entertainment spectrum, enhanced creativity, more time for that creativity, more creative opportunities is a great thing. I mean, we all want that. But none of that is going to happen without a business person. Somebody has got to make the sale or turn the business model that makes it viable to continue to be creative. If we don't have, everything starts with a sale is the cliche, and it's true. If you don't have a business model, then you don't have a true creative opportunity. And that's why we're here in this community, is to find the people who can help us achieve our goals. If you want to expand a creative opportunity, if you think you've got a fabulous billion-dollar idea, find the business partner that might make that happen. If you're a business person and seek technology to make your vision happen, make it happen here. You may have seen one of those 2-minute papers. You may have looked at some of the technologies that are going to be on display. And you say, that's interesting, and then don't do anything about it until you come to the conference, until you join this community and you find the people and you have a conversation and you suddenly are creating the next billion-dollar business. And you, the people who are here, the people who are both here physically and in cyberspace, you are the people that's going to make this happen. And if you don't, it won't. Thank you.
Philip Hodgetts, thank you so much for the numerous heads ups, for the inspiration to transform through this disruption and to come together to exponentially increase our opportunities. That was wonderful. And it really bridges with the topic of our conversation, David, because we're going to be speaking from virtual voices to virtual beings. But before we get into that, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you on stage again with a proper introduction. So thanks for being with us. And David, you are an artist, of course, an artist at heart, best-selling author, and an entrepreneur. You were speaking about the business mind and the business opportunity. So David, as a musician, you have sold over 1.4 million albums. You've toured all over the world, and you have had #1 singles in English, French, and Thai. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're definitely one of those faces from Montreal that we are so proud represent us all around the world. As you know, Montreal is a mecca of creativity, and we are extremely talented at exporting our creativity as well. So thank you, David, for being such an amazing ambassador. You're also the founder of Reimagine AI. So it's an AI creative studio that builds virtual beings and virtual being technology.
That's right, yes.
Wow. So we will be hearing more about that. And you are the co-creator of the Climate Clock, true to your impact environmental beliefs, and that tracks global warming in real time. That is the Climate Clock. Another excellent reference is your book that I've had a great pleasure reading. So Let the Elephants Run, Unlock Your Creativity, and Change Everything. Everything. So Philip, you were talking about the elephant in the room, and here we have a fantastic book if you haven't seen, because it's a book that we see and we read and we play with. So thank you for putting that together, David. So tell us, because I think it is the question in all minds, from music to AI, how was that path for you? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's been a strange transition, I think. I mean, the path for me into tech started a long time ago. I was living in New York. This was right after Twitter launched, so that was probably 15 years ago. And I was really watching the music business fall into the sea as Napster released and all those things were happening. And I was watching the web and technology and digital rise. And I got really interested in why these two things were crossing. And that really led me down the path into, you follow a rabbit hole. And it got me into the web, and it got me into really getting into digital. And that led me to my first startup, which was a social media aggregation startup, which was a big thing at the time. And I did that for a while until Facebook opened its graph to the web. And but that was my first taste at really getting into technology and really loving the idea of technology as a new creative field that I could really get into. And from there, I went on to build the Climate Clock with Dr. David Matthews. And from there, I do a lot of keynote speaking to technology companies about creativity and innovation. But you know, the big disruptions that are coming to the planet are climate change and artificial intelligence. And if you're going to talk about innovation to companies, you have to understand artificial intelligence. You really can't talk about innovation and what's coming in the future without talking about AI. But I absolutely did not want to be a talking head that would talk about AI by reading about it. I really wanted to be someone that had experience with AI. So I started building with my friend Pablo Samuel Castro at Google Brain. We worked on something called Lyric AI, which was an AI that could collaborate with humans writing song lyrics. And that was really my entry into artificial intelligence. And from there, I started to look for where is my opening in artificial intelligence to really get into this field. And because most of my life has always been about the engagement, the human experience, I looked at the interface. I look at AI and the human experience and the interface between human and AI as being that place where I can really live. And that's when we formed Reimagine AI, which is really about that interface between conversation models, virtual beings, and users.
That's fascinating. Can you tell us more about some of the specific projects and how you actually have impact through that with Reimagine AI, David?
Sure. I mean, we're at a really interesting time in the development of artificial intelligence and these large language models, where we can now take large language models, and we've built some specific technology that allows you to fast prototype the thoughts, feelings, understanding and ideas, dialect of a character, and then bolt those onto a large language model so it not only knows who it is, where it is, what it is, but it also understands many more things about the world that you've never trained it on. So it will stay within that character and that dialect, even if it's talking about something that it's never heard about. And it's really, we look at these characters as being a new medium for artists and creators, where we can build minds. And that's essentially what our company does. We build an API in the cloud that we allow people to create API-driven minds, where we can deliver that mind to anywhere, whether that's the web, mobile, to live events, to the metaverse, anywhere really.
That is really fascinating. Can you tell us some examples? So you create minds,
Sure.
and that's been used mainly in entertainment and healthcare and marketing. Can you?
We're doing it in all sorts of different places. We built the first virtual citizen of the country of Malta that's being deployed on live screens and mobile apps that can talk to you about pretty much anything about Malta, but also talk to you about pretty much about anything. And then it can also take you around museums in the city and talk to you about specific things in specific languages. We're building something for Times Square that'll be a permanent exhibit. We're building something that launches in September at the Louvre for the first intelligent NFT in Paris at the museum there. All kinds of different things. But if you think of the mind as being a new medium, right? A new medium, a new creative medium that artists can work with, that creators can work with to build all of these crazy things. And when I think about virtual beings, the actual avatars themselves, I think that the idea of the human as avatar, like we see with metahumans, is going to be just a transitory place. No one's going to give a shit about people that look like people very soon. There are so many other visualizations that we can use rather than just the human face as the human face. I think that there are so many things coming for how we build minds and how we interact with these minds that we're just starting to explore.
Wow. So you think that the mind is going to be more of a differentiator versus the actual visual envelope? There's already more.
Yeah, I mean, our near horizon is what we're doing now, which is building these crazy custom minds that can be anything. If you think of the way a game will start or an animation, the way animation is done now, right? We believe that in the very near future, every time you see a screen, you'll expect, and there's a character on that screen, or in the metaverse live, wherever, you'll expect that character to talk to you. It will be normal as a touch screen is now, right? And then in our long horizon is the mind as a service, where you'll be able to build yourself your thoughts, feelings, memories for all future generations. If you think how we talk to, how we think about our grandparents now and how we talk to them, it's a little crazy that we have a few stories, we have a few images, maybe a video, probably not. But in the very near future, I mean, we could build you right now, but it's a bit more customized. But in the near future, it will be mind as a service. That's where we want to go, where you can build yourself for your future generations so they can talk to you and they'll know about you. They'll have those pictures, those videos, but also the conversations with your voice, with your image, if you choose it to be that way. And that'll be saved forever for your future generations or to live in the metaverse wherever you want. Does that sound crazy?
It's very touching. There is an emotional aspect that definitely resonates for me when we hear that. But Philip, I was just wondering, any reactions or questions? And then David, I'll ask you the same about Philip's presentation. So I think it would be a nice way to wrap this up, gentlemen.
I think it's fascinating. I mean, I love the idea of having a smart mind, something that actually has a personality and can react like a person. It has sort of. And I love the idea of putting myself into the metaverse for the future generations. I've been recording my family history as much as I possibly can, given they're 8,000 miles from where I live. But that's going to be nothing like to the degree that David's talking about, which seems just so exciting.
Well, people will look back at this time and think it sounds a little Black Mirror-ish, but it doesn't have to be. Think of it as the extended photo album. There's no reason why our thoughts and feelings about things shouldn't be registered right now.
In the same way that anything that's older than 30 years ago is not searchable on the internet because effectively it doesn't exist for the internet generation. Well, people who die before being incorporated into a mind will be lost in the same way that history is lost.
Absolutely.
Wow, this is already just the first conversation of the day, and I don't know how you're feeling, but it is so much to take in, and it really sets the table. David, what about some of the things that Philip shared? What did you see any connections between your work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the concept that these are tools is a really, it starts as, there's what we always talk about, a long horizon as a big idea, like this incredible idea that's in the future, but then there are the tools we make right now that can be used and monetized. I mean, you need to be able to figure out how you're going to be a business and how you're going to monetize as you go along. So those are the things that we think about as well.
When I started in the production business a long, long time ago, I was helped into that business by my parents, as are most people who are successful in business. It was a very harsh reality about a year or so into it that I actually needed to sell and make a business out of this lovely hobby that I'd set up for myself. And it was a very harsh reality for a young man to come up with. And it's a lesson that I've continued to learn and continued to remember.
That's been really interesting for us as well in this business because we're in a crazy thing, right? We're in this crazy tech thing that's always changing, and you're constantly having to innovate. There are new massive language models coming out that you have to learn, adapt to, and learn how to use. But there is this thing where you have to figure out what your business is right now. And what I'm really noticing, which gives me a lot of gives me pleasure and relaxes me a bit, is that what used to be outcoming, us explaining this to people, is now incoming, where people are calling us and saying, okay, we're looking for this stuff. Mm-hmm. How do we do this?
So in good marketing,
mainstream.
Yeah, so in good marketing terms, there is a screaming need, and you're not just building something for yourself, right? Like
we hope so.
I think every technology starts out, somebody's either researching a question that they find interesting, or they're building something for themselves. Photoshop, one of our favorite tools, was a personal project for I think John Squires when he worked at ILM. And it was many years later that he published it to the public. A lot of the software that we've written has come because one person has said, hey, can you do this? And yeah, you can do it. And it starts with a single need, but it grows out into a generic need.
That's something that really resonated that you said as well about the idea of jobs. The jobs of the future. The way I visualize AI is all of the, if you visualize the mind as being a million tiny little slices, AI is coming in and taking out these little pieces of the mind, and AI is doing those jobs. And once it can do that job better than a human, which is coming in little slices, a human is never going to do that job again better than the AI. It's
That's
impossible.
right. Cheers.
But at the same time, as a company, as an individual, as a business, you want to be getting into this stuff now, learning what your place is. I often tell companies now, they're like, where are we going to be? What can we do? And it's, we don't have to be able to build the most advanced people in the world, but everybody needs, it's like the metaverse. Everybody needs to get into the space, right? We don't know what the metaverse is, the metaverses are. Everyone's getting into the space. They don't quite know why, but they're getting into it because they need to learn about it. They need to be there, and they have to figure out what it is. So when the killer application is discovered, they at least have experience within the space. You can't slap it on as an afterthought when you suddenly need it.
Yeah.
So really interesting to think about kinesthetic learning and learning by doing as we're all experiencing these transformations. Philip Hodgetts, Lumberjack Systems, David Usher, Reimagine AI. Thank you so much for kicking off the day in such an inspiring way. Thank you both.
Thank you.